He won't walk away with his daughter wearing my ring in front of 200 people. Nia Caldwell stopped with her hand inches from Lucas Mercer's office door. The small velvet box she was carrying suddenly felt heavy enough to pull her arm toward the floor. She had come to surprise him. Her father had bought Lucas a pair of engraved cufflinks for their engagement party tomorrow night, and Nia had volunteered to drop them off on her way home. Lucas thought she was across town with her mother, arguing over flowers and table linens. He had no idea she was standing 10 feet away. That's a dangerous assumption, a woman said inside the office. Nia recognized Elena Price, Northgate Ridge Partners CFO. Raymond Caldwell doesn't invest because someone makes him feel obligated. He won't feel obligated, Lucas replied. He'll feel welcomed into the family. Nia's fingers tightened around the box. Something was wrong. Not the fact that Lucas was discussing business with Elena. That happened constantly. It was the way he had said family. Like it was leverage. We still need his anchor commitment by Monday, Elena said. If Caldwell Meridian doesn't come in, Cross may pull the financing. There was a pause. Nia could hear ice shifting inside a glass. That's what tomorrow night is for, Lucas said. Her stomach dropped. Tomorrow night was supposed to be their engagement party. Her mother had spent 3 weeks choosing flowers. Her father had rearranged a board trip to be there. Nia had spent hours writing a toast she was already embarrassed would make her cry. She had thought the evening was about 2 families celebrating a marriage. Apparently Lucas had put something else on the agenda. Elena lowered her voice. Does Nia know what tomorrow night really is? No. Lucas answered so quickly it almost hurt more. And she doesn't need to. Nia stared at the diamond on her left hand. 3 months ago, Lucas had slipped that ring onto her finger on the terrace of their favorite restaurant and told her she was the one person in his life who had never made love feel transactional. She remembered believing him without hesitation. Now she could barely swallow. Elena spoke again. You're putting Raymond in a room with lenders, investors, and your future son-in-law status. He may see exactly what you're doing. Lucas gave a quiet laugh. By the time he realizes it, the room will already assume he's with us. Nia didn't move. She didn't cry. She simply listened. Then Elena asked the question Nia suddenly needed answered more than anything else. Did you move the engagement party up because of the deal? Silence. 5 seconds, maybe 6. Long enough for Nia to hear her own heartbeat. Then Lucas said, the timing helped. Something inside her went completely still. Not broken. Still. There was a difference. Nia looked down at the cufflink box her father had chosen for the man he believed would become his son-in-law. She quietly placed it on the entry table, stepped backward, and left before either of them knew she had been there. Lucas still believed he was walking into tomorrow night with an unsuspecting fiancé and a billionaire investor within reach. Nia decided not to correct him. Not yet. By the time Nia reached the sidewalk, Manhattan was settling into that restless hour when office lights stayed on, but restaurants were already filling up. She walked 2 blocks before realizing she had no idea where she was going. 3 years of memories had started rearranging themselves in her head, and she hated how quickly ordinary moments could become suspicious once trust cracked. She had met Lucas at a charity fundraiser in Chicago, long before he knew exactly what the Caldwell name could open. Nia had been standing near the bar after escaping a conversation with a donor who kept introducing her as Raymond Caldwell's daughter. Lucas had walked over, handed her a club soda, and said, "You look like you are planning an escape." She laughed. "Is it that obvious?" "Only because I am considering the same thing." They spent 40 minutes talking about bad airport coffee, Chicago winters, and the tiny branding firm Nia was trying to build into something respectable. Lucas never asked what her father did. That had mattered to her. Most people changed slightly when they learned about Caldwell Meridian Holdings. Their posture sharpened. Their questions became more interested. Lucas had seemed different. For the first year, he was different. He remembered how she took her coffee. He drove 20 miles out of his way when her car battery died. When Nia landed her first major client without using a single family connection, Lucas showed up at her apartment with grocery store cupcakes because every bakery nearby had already closed. "You did this yourself," he told her. She had never forgotten that, which was why tonight hurt in a way anger could not simplify. Somewhere along the way, Lucas had started asking more questions about Raymond. At first they sounded harmless. What kind of deals interested him? Did he still invest in infrastructure? Who usually sat beside him at dinners? Nia had teased Lucas about trying too hard to impress his future father-in-law. Lucas had smiled and said, "I just want him to know you chose somebody worth respecting." She had kissed him for that answer. Now she wondered whether he had practiced it. Her phone buzzed. "Lucas. Hey, beautiful. Still with your mom?" Nia stopped beneath the awning of a closed bookstore. For one dangerous second, she wanted to tell him exactly where she had been. Instead, she said, "Just finished. Everything okay?" His voice sounded warm. Familiar. Real. That was almost worse. "Long day. Get some sleep. Tomorrow is ours." Nia closed her eyes. "Tomorrow is ours," she repeated. After they hung up, another memory surfaced. 6 weeks earlier, Lucas had been strangely insistent about moving the engagement party forward. He blamed Raymond's travel schedule. Nia had accepted it because Lucas had seemed excited to make things official. But she remembered something else now. The same week the date changed, Lucas had canceled dinner twice because Northgate Ridge was working on what he called the biggest transaction of my career. Nia pulled out her phone and searched their old messages. There it was. Lucas asking whether they could move the party forward. The date stamp sat directly above another message he had sent hours later. Big deal finally moving. If this closes, everything changes. Nia stared at those two messages until the traffic light changed twice. Maybe it was coincidence. She needed it to be coincidence. But for the first time in 3 years, Nia did not trust the story Lucas had given her. And before she ended a future she once believed in, she needed facts. The next morning, Nia called Marcus Reed before she called anyone else. Marcus was her cousin, a corporate attorney in Washington, D.C., and one of the few people in the Caldwell family who understood that she hated being protected before she had asked for protection. She waited until she was inside her office, closed the door, and said, "I need you to answer something without calling my father." Marcus was quiet for a second. That sentence usually means I am not going to enjoy the question. Hypothetically, can an investment firm invite potential investors to a private family event and use the event to create pressure around a deal? Networking at a party? Sure. Creating the impression that somebody has committed money when they have not? Very different conversation. Nia turned toward the window. What if the person hosting the party does not know that is happening? Marcus stopped joking. "Nia, what happened?" She did not tell him everything. Not yet. She only said she needed to understand what was normal. Marcus explained that business relationships often started socially, especially in private equity, but serious commitments required documentation, due diligence, and clear consent. A champagne toast could not legally force Raymond Caldwell to invest millions of dollars. But perception mattered. If the right lenders and investors watched Raymond publicly embrace Lucas, while Lucas hinted that Caldwell Meridian supported the transaction, that perception could buy Lucas time, credibility, maybe even financing. "Nobody needs your father's signature tomorrow night," Marcus said. "They might only need everyone else to believe the signature is coming." That sentence stayed with Nia after the call ended. She opened the engagement party planning folder on her laptop. Until then, the guest list had been background noise. Lucas had handled most of his side because Nia had been buried in a branding campaign. She began reading names carefully. Friends, family, college roommates, Northgate Ridge executives, then people she barely recognized. Daniel Cross, Marissa Cole, Stephen Alden, Priya Shah. Nia searched each name. Cross represented Halcyon Credit Group, a private lender. Cole managed institutional capital for a pension advisory firm. Alden specialized in corporate restructuring. Shah covered private equity for a financial publication. Nia leaned back. For people who made perfect sense at a financing dinner and almost no sense at an engagement party. She pulled up the seating chart. Her father was at table 1. Daniel Cross was 2 seats away. Marissa Cole sat directly across from him. Elena Price was beside Lucas. Even the cocktail hour placements suddenly looked deliberate. Nia had spent 3 weeks worrying about whether divorced relatives should share a table, while Lucas had apparently been arranging access. Her phone rang. Marcus again. "I checked the name you mentioned." Nia straightened. "Daniel Cross." "Yes. His group is active in acquisition financing. If he is attending tomorrow, I would pay attention." "Why?" Marcus hesitated. "Because men like Cross do not spend Saturday night at somebody's engagement party unless there is a reason." Nia looked at the seating chart again. She had wanted facts instead of anger. Now she had them. Not proof of every fear, but enough to stop calling this coincidence. Then she noticed one final detail at the bottom of the event schedule, something Lucas had added himself. At 9:15, immediately after the family toast, there was a private 20-minute gathering in the hotel library. The attendees were Lucas, Elena, Daniel Cross, two investors, and Raymond Caldwell. Nia's name was not on the list. By 6:30 Saturday evening, the private ballroom at the Langford Hotel looked exactly the way Nia had imagined it months ago. White roses framed the tall windows, candles flickered across linen-covered tables, and a jazz trio played near the bar while nearly 200 guests filled the room. Her mother, Vivian, was correcting a florist over three centerpieces that apparently leaned half an inch too far left. Raymond stood near the windows talking with an old college friend, and Lucas moved through the room like a man who had rehearsed every minute of the night. There you are. He appeared beside Nia, carrying the sparkling water she always ordered. You disappeared on me. My mother needed help. Your mother has 12 people helping her. He smiled and handed her the glass. How are you feeling? Nia looked at him. Navy suit, silver tie, the same easy expression she had trusted for 3 years. You really want to know? For the smallest moment, something changed in his face. Then he touched her elbow. Of course I do. She could have ended it right there. Instead, she said, I am fine. Lucas relaxed. Good. Tonight is about us. There it was again. Nia took a sip because she did not trust herself to answer. 10 minutes later, Lucas was helping Vivian move place cards and joking with Raymond about the Knicks. He looked like exactly what everyone believed he was. A future husband trying hard to belong. For a few dangerous minutes, Nia wondered whether she was making the business side uglier than it really was. Maybe Lucas had crossed a line without realizing how far he had gone. Maybe the 20-minute meeting was something he planned to disclose later. Maybe the man who once drove 20 miles to jumpstart her car still existed underneath all this ambition. Then Elena Price entered carrying a black leather folder. She caught Lucas near the bar and handed it to him without ceremony. Nia was close enough to see the white label on its spine. Caldwell, anchor commitment. The last excuse she had been building for him disappeared. Lucas glanced around, then slid the folder beneath a stack of event materials on a side table. When he turned, he found Nia watching him. Everything okay? He asked. Perfect, she said. He smiled, completely missing the meaning. A few minutes later, Raymond approached her. Your young man has introduced me to more finance people tonight than I met at the last investment conference. His tone was amused, not suspicious. Did you know Daniel Cross was coming? Nia asked. No. Lucas said he was a friend from work. Before she could say more, a server passed with champagne and Lucas tapped a spoon lightly against his glass. Conversations faded. Nia glanced toward table 1. Daniel Cross had moved closer to Raymond. Marissa Cole was already watching Lucas. Elena stood near the side table with the black folder within reach. Every piece was in position. Can I have everyone's attention? Lucas said. He looked toward Nia first, smiling warmly. I promise I will keep this short because my beautiful fiancé has warned me what happens when I start sounding like I am giving a presentation. The room laughed. Nia did not. Lucas continued. Tonight is about family. It is about trust. And it is about what becomes possible when good people decide to build something together. Raymond's smile faded slightly. Nia saw Elena reach for the folder. Lucas raised his glass. And there is one person here tonight whose vision of building something lasting has inspired me more than he probably realizes. Raymond, would you come up here? Heads turned toward her father. Raymond pushed back his chair. Lucas believed he had reached the moment he had planned for. What he did not know was that Nia had already decided there would be no private meeting at 9:15. She set down her glass, stepped toward the stage, and reached for the second microphone. Nia reached the microphone before Raymond made it halfway to the stage. Lucas turned toward her, surprised but still smiling. Stealing my moment? He asked lightly. A few guests laughed. Just borrowing it, Nia said. She faced the room and rested one hand against the microphone stand. Her voice came out steadier than she expected. Before my dad gets up here, I want to clear up something important. Lucas's smile held, but Elena stopped beside the table with the black folder. Nia continued. There are a lot of people in this room tonight who work in finance, investing, lending, and private equity. Apparently, Lucas has more business friends than I realized. Another small laugh moved through the ballroom, although this one sounded uncertain. Daniel Cross did not laugh at all. So, because this is my engagement party too, I want everyone to hear this directly from me. Tonight is personal. It is not an investor meeting. It is not a fundraising event. And nobody should interpret my father being here as an endorsement, commitment, or indication that Caldwell Meridian Holdings is participating in any transaction. The room went quiet enough for Nia to hear a server setting down a tray near the back wall. Lucas stared at her. Raymond stopped walking. Across the room, Daniel Cross slowly lowered his champagne glass. Nia, Lucas said softly, stepping closer. I think there has been a misunderstanding. She turned to him with a pleasant expression. Then this should make everything easier. That left him nowhere to go. If he argued, he would have to explain why her statement was a problem. If he agreed, the impression he had spent weeks constructing disappeared in 30 seconds. Raymond looked from his daughter to Lucas. Is there something I should know? Nothing at all, Lucas answered quickly. I had planned to introduce you to a few people later. That is all. Socially, Nia asked. Lucas met her eyes. Of course. Elena's hand moved away from the folder. Nia saw it. So did Lucas. Great, Nia said. Then we agree. She turned back toward the guests. Now, since my father was apparently about to be volunteered for public speaking, I think we should save him. That earned a real laugh, and Raymond shook his head with a smile that did not reach his eyes. Nia handed the microphone back to Lucas and stepped down. The jazz trio started again. Conversations returned in cautious pockets, but the room had changed. Daniel Cross approached Raymond, shook his hand, exchanged 2 polite sentences, then moved away without mentioning business. Marissa Cole did the same. At 8:50, Nia watched a hotel employee remove the reserved sign from the library door. The 9:15 meeting was not happening. Lucas disappeared for several minutes. When he returned, his jaw was tight beneath the polished smile he was still wearing for guests. He waited until Nia was alone near the hallway leading to the coat room. Come with me, he said quietly. Where? Somewhere we can talk. We can talk here. Lucas glanced toward the ballroom. Not here. Nia followed him only as far as the empty corridor outside the library. The moment the ballroom doors closed behind them, the performance fell from his face. What was that? He asked. I made sure nobody misunderstood why my father was here. Nobody misunderstood anything until you made that announcement. There it was. Not concern about her. Concern about the room. Nia said nothing. Lucas studied her for several seconds, and she watched the calculation happen behind his eyes. His irritation faded. Something colder replaced it. Who told you? He asked. Nia tilted her head. That is an interesting question. Lucas went completely still. For the first time all night, he understood that the woman standing in front of him knew far more than he had planned for her to know. Lucas stared at Nia as if the right answer might still give him control of the conversation. Who told you? He asked again. Nobody. Then how did you know about the investors? Nia held his gaze. I came by your apartment yesterday. The color shifted in his face. You were supposed to be with your mother. I was. Then I brought over the cufflinks my father bought you. Lucas looked toward the ballroom doors, suddenly remembering something. The box on the table. Yes. Nia watched the rest land. I heard you and Elena. For once, Lucas had nothing ready. He rubbed his thumb along the edge of his watch, an old habit Nia had seen before difficult meetings. How much? Enough. Nia, you heard part of a business conversation. I heard you say my father would not walk away with his daughter wearing your ring in front of 200 people. Lucas exhaled slowly. That sounds worse without context. Then give me the context that makes it better. He opened his mouth, then stopped. Music and laughter drifted faintly through the ballroom doors, reminders that their families were celebrating 20 feet away. Finally, Lucas said, Northgate Ridge has spent 11 months building this acquisition. If we close it, we protect jobs, expand the firm, and bring in institutional money we have been chasing for years. I did not ask about the deal. It matters. I asked about us. That stopped him. Nia kept her voice low. Did you move this party up because you needed access to my father? Lucas looked away. She waited. The timing helped. He finally said, repeating the same words she had heard through the door. This time there was nowhere for him to hide behind them. Did it affect when you proposed? Another silence. I was already going to propose. That was not my question. Nia, I love you. The answer hurt because she believed him. She could see it in his face, hear it in the strain of his voice. Lucas had not spent 3 years pretending every laugh, every Sunday morning, every ordinary dinner. That would have been easier. You love me, she said, and you still decided I was useful. That is not fair. You put my father beside your lender without telling either of us why. Lucas stepped closer, lowering his voice. We are going to be family. Your father invests in companies. I build deals. Why is it wrong for those worlds to help each other? There it was. The part Nia had been trying to understand since yesterday. Lucas did not believe he had betrayed her. He believed loving her entitled him to access. She slipped the engagement ring from her finger. Lucas's eyes dropped to it. Do not do this tonight. Nia placed the ring carefully into the breast pocket of his suit. This was supposed to mean you chose me. You turned it into collateral. Nia, go back to your guests, Lucas. She opened the ballroom door and walked inside before he could answer. Raymond was waiting near table 1, no longer smiling. He touched her arm and led her toward a quiet corner beside the windows. Are you all right? Not really. Do you want to leave? Nia looked across the room at her mother, then at guests who still had no idea the engagement had just ended in a hallway. In a minute. Raymond studied her face. There is something else. Nia frowned. What do you mean? After what you said on stage, I called our general counsel. I asked him to check whether anyone at Caldwell Meridian had received material from Northgate Ridge. Nia felt a new uneasiness settle in. And Raymond's expression hardened. They did. Tonight. No, he paused. 3 weeks ago. Nia stared at him. Raymond lowered his voice. Lucas did not start using this engagement tonight. 3 weeks ago? Nia repeated. Raymond nodded. Our general counsel found a financing memorandum sent to one of our investment teams. It came through Northgate Ridge. Why did nobody tell you? Because it was unsolicited. We get proposals every week. An associate logged it, reviewed the summary, and passed. Raymond pulled out his phone. But after your announcement, I asked them to send me the file. Nia looked across the ballroom. Lucas had returned to the crowd, speaking quietly with Elena near the bar. He was still wearing the suit with Nia's engagement ring in the breast pocket. What does it say? Raymond hesitated. You should see it yourself. He forwarded the document. Nia opened it and scrolled past projections, acquisition targets, financing structures, and pages of language she did not fully understand. Then Raymond pointed to a paragraph near the bottom. There. Nia read it once. Then again. Northgate Ridge described its relationship with Caldwell Meridian as expected to deepen through forthcoming family alignment, language positioned beside a section discussing prospective strategic capital. They had not promised Raymond's money. They had done something more careful. They had suggested access. He used our engagement in a financing document. That is how I read it. Nia's first instinct was to look for some technical explanation that would make the sentence less personal. There was none. The document was dated 3 weeks earlier. Lucas had already been telling people a story about her future marriage before he ever arranged tonight's introductions. Raymond took his phone back. I can have our attorneys handle this by morning. His voice had changed. Nia knew that voice. She had heard it when executives arrived at family dinners thinking Raymond Caldwell was a friendly older man until somebody mentioned a contract. What does that mean? She asked. It means I make 3 calls, and Lucas spends Monday explaining himself to people he would rather not disappoint. No, Raymond looked at her. Nia. No, Dad. I am not asking you to destroy him because he hurt me. This is bigger than hurting you. Then deal with the business part, like business. She pointed at the document. Did Caldwell Meridian commit money? No. Did you endorse the acquisition? No. Then say exactly that. Nothing more. Raymond studied her for a long moment. You are protecting him. I am protecting myself from becoming what he already thinks I am. And what is that? Your daughter with access to a bigger weapon. Raymond's expression softened. Nia continued. If his deal is good, let it survive without us. If it only works because people think my last name comes with a checkbook, then it was never as strong as he claimed. Raymond slowly nodded. All right. Before midnight, Caldwell Meridian's general counsel sent a short clarification to the parties who had received Northgate Ridge's materials. No investment commitment existed. No endorsement had been authorized. No strategic participation should be assumed. Nothing dramatic. Nothing personal. Just facts. But facts traveled quickly when millions of dollars depended on them. The next morning, Lucas woke to 6 missed calls. By 8:15, Daniel Cross had postponed the financing discussion. At 8:40, two investors requested written clarification of Northgate Ridge's representations. At 9:12, Elena called Nia. Nia almost ignored it. "What?" she finally answered. Elena sounded exhausted. "The board called an emergency meeting. That is Lucas's problem. It is about to become more than that." Nia went quiet. Elena lowered her voice. "They found another version of the memorandum." "Another version?" "The one Lucas sent internally before legal revised it." Nia sat upright. "What was different?" Elena paused. "He did not write family alignment in that version." "What did he write?" Elena answered, "He wrote your name." For several seconds, Nia said nothing. "My name how?" she finally asked. Elena exhaled into the phone. "The internal draft says the transaction is expected to benefit from direct access to Raymond Caldwell through Nia Caldwell following their engagement." Nia looked toward the bare place on her dresser where she had set her jewelry the night before. Hearing herself reduced to a line in a financing memo felt strangely different from hearing Lucas talk behind a closed door. This had been typed, saved, circulated. Someone had read it and decided it belonged in a business plan. "Did you know?" Nia asked. "I saw the revised version. Not that one." "Do you believe him?" Elena was silent. "I believe Lucas convinced himself the investment was coming. That is part of the problem." By Monday morning, Northgate Ridge's board had removed Lucas from the acquisition team while it reviewed what he had represented to lenders and investors. Daniel Cross suspended financing discussions. Nobody accused Lucas of a crime. Nobody needed to. In his business, credibility was oxygen, and suddenly everyone wanted to know whether his confidence had been built on commitments that never existed. Nia went to work. She answered emails, sat through a client meeting, and ate half a turkey sandwich at her desk. Ordinary things felt useful. At 4:20, reception called. "There is a Lucas Mercer here to see you." Nia almost said no. Then she realized she did not want their last conversation to live forever in a hotel hallway. "Send him up." Lucas entered without the polished confidence he had worn Saturday night. No tie. No expensive smile. Just a tired man carrying the consequences of choices he still seemed desperate to explain. "I have been taken off the deal," he said. Nia closed her laptop. "I heard. The board thinks I misrepresented Caldwell Meridian." "Did you?" "I was too aggressive." "That is a very finance way to say yes." Lucas looked down. "I never promised your father's money. You promised access to him through me. I thought Raymond would at least consider it. You wrote my name into an internal financing memo." His eyes lifted. That told her Elena had been right. That draft was never supposed to leave the firm. Nia gave a small, tired laugh. "You still think the problem is who saw it?" Lucas sat across from her. "I made a mistake. Several. I know." For the first time, his apology sounded like it belonged to a person instead of a negotiator. "I lost perspective. I wanted the partnership. I wanted the deal. And somewhere along the way, I started treating everything in my life like something I could leverage." Nia believed that too. Lucas reached into his jacket and placed the engagement ring on her desk. "I do love you." She looked at the ring but did not touch it. "I know." His face changed. He had expected anger, maybe disbelief. "That does not fix it," she continued. "That is what you still do not understand." Lucas swallowed. Then came the sentence that ended whatever sympathy remained between them. "If your father would tell the board this was a misunderstanding, I could probably save my position." Nia stared at him. "Even now, even here, you are still asking me to get you into the room." Lucas opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Nia pushed the ring gently back across the desk. "Goodbye, Lucas." 1 month later, Raymond asked Nia to meet him at Caldwell Meridian. When she arrived, there was no discussion of Lucas waiting for her. There was a single proposal on the conference table. Raymond slid it across. "Before you say no because it came from me, read the first page." Nia opened the folder. At the top was her own name, followed by a title she had never expected to see, Managing Director. And underneath it was a condition that made her look up at her father in surprise. The condition beneath Nia's new title was only one sentence. The division would operate with an independent investment committee, and every deal would be judged on performance, not family approval. Nia looked up. "You put that in here?" Raymond leaned back in his chair. "I thought you would." She kept reading. Caldwell Meridian wanted her to build a new growth investment division focused on promising minority-owned businesses that traditional capital firms often overlooked. She would choose her own team, develop the strategy, and answer to measurable targets. Raymond would not sit on the investment committee. "You know, I have spent half my life trying not to work for you," Nia said. "I noticed." She smiled despite herself. "Then why offer this?" Raymond considered the question. "Because independence is not refusing every door somebody opens for you. Sometimes it is walking through the door and making sure nobody else gets to tell you what to do once you are inside." Nia did not accept that afternoon. That mattered to her. She took the proposal home, marked it up, changed the compensation structure, demanded hiring authority, and added language protecting the division from family interference. 3 days later, she returned it covered in notes. Raymond flipped through the pages. "You removed my approval authority." "Yes." "You changed the reporting structure." "Yes." "You increased the performance threshold." "Also yes." Raymond looked at his daughter for a moment, then reached for a pen. "Now I know I hired the right person." 6 months later, Nia stood inside a conference center in Washington, D.C., waiting to speak at an investment forum. Her badge did not say Raymond Caldwell's daughter. It did not say Lucas Mercer's fiancée. It read, Nia Caldwell, Managing Director, Caldwell Meridian Holdings. She had spent those 6 months building a team, losing 2 deals, closing 3 good ones, and learning that having power was much less glamorous than people imagined. Most days, it looked like early flights, cold coffee, hard questions, and saying no when everyone in the room wanted yes. Then, across the lobby, she saw Lucas. He looked different, but not destroyed. Life had not turned him into a cautionary tale overnight. Northgate Ridge had completed its internal review. Lucas eventually left the firm and joined a smaller advisory company in Boston. He was rebuilding. Slowly, their eyes met. He walked toward her, but stopped a few feet away. "You look good," he said. "So do you." His eyes dropped briefly to her badge. Managing Director. "For now. Your dad must be proud." Nia smiled. "You would have to ask him." Lucas nodded. There was no dramatic apology left to give. No ring. No deal. No reason for either of them to pretend the past could be renegotiated. "I am sorry, Nia," he said quietly. This time, he asked for nothing afterward. "I know," she said. "Take care of yourself, Lucas." She walked toward the conference room when her phone buzzed. A message from Raymond waited on the screen. "Proud of you. Not because you are my daughter. Because you were ready." Nia read it once, put her phone away, and stepped through the open doors. Months earlier, a man she loved had looked at her engagement ring and seen leverage. For a while, that betrayal made her question whether every beautiful memory had been a lie. They had not been. That was the harder lesson. Someone can love you and still fail to respect you. Someone can mean the good things they say and still make choices that reveal what they value when love competes with ambition. Nia did not win because Lucas lost a deal. She won the moment she stopped needing his failure to prove her worth. Because the people who truly love you do not measure your value by the doors you can open for them. And sometimes the most important door you will ever walk through is the one you finally choose for yourself.